I've done a couple of podcasts. I've done a Charlie Dickinson's one. I've not done loads, so I'm not a professional, but I know I've got to wait for you to make the question before I say stuff, which is very difficult for me as I have ADHD, and I try my best to not out angle myself like I'm doing now.
Oh, don't worry.
Don't worry. Like the more you speak, the easier our jobs are. So don't feel like you have to wait for us or anything like that. You
just interrupt. Like fuck this, get an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just do that.
No, I was going to say my partner has ADHD and my stepdaughter does, and I'm fucking convinced that my other daughter does too. So I'm used to the ADHD, Neurospicy kind of shit and stuff like that.
That's okay.
Do you misplay stuff all the time?
Yeah, misplace stuff. Forget things about 30 seconds after I was told them. The lucky thing is all my admin, my fiance does for part of the company. So like stuff like this, like she went, "You do remember you got a podcast?" Oh, yeah, I remember that now. And the rest of the time, it's just there's good things about it and bad things about it. It's being able to be quite creative and decent ideas for stuff, but then forgetting where you left your wallet, that kind of stuff. Balances itself out.
I was going to say, it's 100% like because I just said then about my partner, she's the exact same. Like she misplaces stuff all the time, and she's every single day. She asks me, she's like, "Jay, where's my phone?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And she's like, "Can you ring my phone?" And you see that? I just did a thumbs up then.
Oh yeah.
I think of a Ned, and if I do that, it automatically does it. I don't know. I probably put something on. I have no idea what I've done, so I'm sorry. I'm 42. Tech's not my thing, really, if I'm honest.
No, that was impressive. But yeah, I was going to say, like, so my partner's constantly like that. She's like, "Oh, I've lost my phone, or I've lost my vape, or do you know where this is?" The other week, she had some cash in an envelope ready to take on holiday because she went away for the weekend. So she had like euros in an envelope. She misplaced that, and she was like, "Have you seen where that is?" I'm like, "Nah, but I just don't know." Because what she does, I've watched her, and she'll come in and she'll just like fling stuff. She'll take her coat off and fucking frisbee it across the room, and then her keys will be on the floor, and then her phone will be in the bathroom, and then her vape will be in the garden. And I'm like, but her brain, no matter how many times I say, like, "Oh, put it here in this place and you'll remember them," like she'll never ever do it because like she always says like her brain's just non-stop and she can't think and stop in that moment to do X, Y, and Z.
Well, saying that, I'm the same, but I've created what's known as a launch pad. So in the front room, there's my area where the dumping happens, like the dumping zone. So that basically I know that when I come in, chuck everything on the launch pad, so I know where it is, and it's in each. See, this I think this is the dichotomy of ADHD. Is I love structure, but hate it at the same time. So on my table, I've got sections that I have to put things in, so I remember where they are. But then each month I go, I'm getting bored of that. So I'll then retape the sections and reorganize the bits where everything goes so I don't lose it. So there's this constant battle between getting bored with stuff and needing structure. So it's a real difficult challenge to kind of keep the balance between the two. Especially with PT, being quite structured, you have a lot of time kind of fighting against your own self, and it's frustrating. But I've basically struggled with it without really knowing for quite some time. So I didn't get diagnosed until I was 40. Actually 40. I was 40 when I was diagnosed. So I've spent most of my adult life basically just thinking everyone's brain was this fast. And going through university, doing everything that people these days would get extra time for, and all the kind of I've got a cool laptop that I could have had at uni instead of having the rubbish one I had. Just because of that diagnosis, and I didn't get nothing. I just had to struggle and work my way through. So I've learned to cope with it because I've had to learn to cope with it anyway. So, but there we go.
What led you to get the diagnosis? Did like someone else pick up on it, or did you just kind of like hear about it and be like, "Oh shit, am I ADHD?"
Weirdly, obviously, being at the gym all the time, and you're being surrounded by. Well, let's be honest. Most people in the gym, I think, have some sort of neurodivergency. They're either severely OCD, so therefore, if they don't train, something bad will happen. So they have that kind of aspect, or they have. ADHD, because obviously they're impulsive and got full, and they're full of energy. So there was a girl that was training in the gym I was working at, who was actually a neurologist actually, and I think she's working on now the I think light sensitivity and infrared within muscle and brain function. Because she's like doing a PhD at Manchester University. But she came over to me and basically went, I watched you in the gym, like, have you ever thought you might have ADHD? And I went, no. I'm quite calm. I don't run around all the time. She went, yeah, no, that's not exactly what ADHD is. There's lots of different types. And she went through the external, combination and internal. Having had my diagnosis, I'm combination. As you can probably tell, I'm not exactly slow with speech, and I can rabbit a bit. But most of my ADHD is internal within my head, and lots of millions of thoughts. The classic example of having about 37 tabs open on your computer, and music's coming from somewhere, and you're not too sure how you can switch it off. That's pretty much what my brain feels like most of the time. Which earlier in my career was made me quite depressed, quite anxious. So at first I thought I just suffered from anxiety and suffered from depression, but it's now turns out that it's more likely that those are byproducts of the ADHD, and then my depression and my anxiety is reduced since I've been taking the ADHD medication, which is the weirdest thing as well, because it's basically speed. Like I take legalized speed every day. It's not surprising it didn't work when I was maybe taking it recreationally, and why everyone else seems to be having a better time than me, but apparently. And so lisdexamphetamine, slow. It's I don't quite know how it works, but the whole idea is it pushes through the dopamine into the front part of my brain, basically. Whereas most people don't have problems with their levels of dopamine. They have enough to get them through the day. Whereas people with ADHD have basically their dopamine's like gone by about 9 o'clock, because they've had about a billion thoughts. They've had to use all the happy chemicals to kind of get them through brushing their teeth and getting out of the house. So it helps create and push the dopamine into the front of our brain a little bit. And gives us the ability to think with rational thought and slow it down a little bit, basically. It's a weird situation where I can take a tremendous amount of supplements and it can make me tired. So like pre-workout is absolutely pointless for me. So I take pre-workout and I'll get a pump, but then all of a sudden once it kicks in, really I start feeling tired. The same with Red Bull, Monster. If I have any of those, it doesn't really affect me in terms of the way it's supposed to. It actually just makes me feel a bit sleepy.
Oh.
I'll even basically be upside down, to where everything's absolutely opposite of where it should be.
Yeah, it's mad because everything that you say is like sounds so similar to like my partner's experience with it. Like you even said about having all the tabs open, she's referenced it before as having loads of different tellies on and not knowing which one she can tune into.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just crazy. Like you said, like it's mad that it took to get to like 40 years old to actually find out, like you said. And if that woman weren't in the gym kind of watching you and she hadn't, like you still might not even know now, which is crazy.
But yeah, I know. And well, if I'm honest, I didn't, when she said it, I didn't believe her then. Because, you know, the stereotype of my generation's ADHD was, you know, the kid running around in circles screaming and shouting, which is, you know, is the more stereotypical one you'd have with like males. Males are normally more external, without trying to give you too much backstory in terms of my life, like, you know, trauma and other things that can go into make you internalize things. So I internalize other things, but also internalize my ADHD. So it pushed it more into my brain rather than basically, because having external ADHD wouldn't have been accepted kind of in my family home and at school.
Yeah,
so you kind of
suppress it quite a lot as a child. Mask and stuff.
Yeah, it's in. I don't know how old you guys are. You seem probably a little bit younger than myself, but
I'm 30 and he's 29. He's clinging on to his 20s.
Yeah. So you're not. Yeah.
Oh yeah, shit, I'm 31.
Well, there you go. See, you're catching me up, though. You're not quite there yet. So I would say even in that kind of that generational gap, like I'm like a cusp millennial. I just chipped into the millennial set. I'm born 82. ADHD just wasn't tested really, and in schools when I was even up to my kind of like GCSEs that it wasn't really looked at. So the likelihood of me getting kind of diagnosed it when I was a child or when I was a teenager was pretty slim. And the same when I was at uni, like, you know, no one ever kind of, you know, I could now looking back and see me in lectures and go like, I couldn't sit still for more than 30 seconds. I was doodling all the time. I couldn't hold concentration for more than 30, 40 minutes. And I spent most of my time just asking for other people's notes because I'd forgotten what the hell we were talking about in lectures. But no one picked up on that at that time either. So I'm surprised that I even managed to get a diagnosis or get someone to kind of pay that much attention, because like I said, it wasn't external. It's harder to see, which is why a lot more females don't get diagnosed with it.
I was actually going to ask that if you was aware of the kind of split in male/female, because I see so much shit about female getting so many like late diagnosis, and like you said, then it's the difference between the internal and external, because your stereotypical ADHDer is like you said, you think of like boys like being naughty in school and running around in circles screaming and shit like that, whereas because girls are more aware and like emotionally intelligent and stuff, they mask it. And like you said, it's like with my stepdaughter, like she's away with the fairies like so much, and like you have to like say something to her about 10 times to get her attention and stuff, and you just come to know, like, do you know what I mean, that's what it is. But it's when you try and get a diagnosis, like we've been trying to get it now for about 2 years, and like they just go into school and like they'll assess them and they'll be like, oh yeah, no, they're not very disruptive in class, like we think she's fine. We're like, you don't have to be fucking disruptive to have ADHD, you know. But and
that's the thing, because it costs so much as well to have, you know, if you have an ADHD child, you need obviously one-to-one help within the school, so it's going to cost them. And so like, they try their best to not diagnose to save the school money. Yeah. Well, like, even myself, but the only reason I got a diagnosis because I paid for my diagnosis. Like, the waiting list for where I am at the moment is 7 years.
Wow.
So 7 years. Some central Manchester, I think, because I was looking at maybe moving just to get closer on the waiting list. I think my central Manchester is 5 years. That's so, and you know, a lot of times because people have masked for so long, they thought, well, what's the point? Why am I waiting all this time? But
exactly,
yeah. And I started. I don't know whether it's a fact that as you get older, it starts getting more noticeable.
I think
but
so.
It started affecting me more and more, and I kind of realised that I needed some chemical help to help balance me out, especially with running a business. The pressure and the amount of kind of juggling and structures that goes into it. That was the thing that was starting to get to me. Like I couldn't balance both the operational side in terms of personal training as well as planning, marketing, and everything started becoming too overwhelmed.
Yeah,
so
I suppose while doing the PT, and like you said, that's very like schedule based, and you're kind of working around other people's schedules, so you've got to be like super organised and stuff like that. But I had a point then on the back of something that you were saying, but it's totally flew out of my head. I'm sure it might come back. But
well, should we introduce him then?
Well,
oh yeah.
Well, all that can go in the episode. It's very good, but obviously, just to introduce who you are and what you do.
Right.
People probably already guessed from like the conversation mentioning PT and all stuff like that. But yeah, in today's episode, we have got the meanest, cleanest, and leanest of them all. Manchester's own Adam Parker. Welcome to the show, Adam. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm not particularly very mean. I'm reasonably clean, and currently I don't think I'm very lean either. I'm bulking season now, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's nice to meet you guys. I'm a personal trainer in Manchester. But specialism really, I think, is dealing with people who are anxious with the gym, that don't like the gym and wouldn't normally go to the gym, because the reality is that was me about 8 to 10 years ago. Because we talked about obviously the ADHD, I just thought I was massively anxious. Just like I said, without the diagnosis, that's the only thing that basically people could explain to me. So going into the gym was terrifying, especially because at that point, I think when I started, I was about 9.5 stone before I started training. So going into a gym as basically a human stick insect is not exactly the easiest thing, especially when you're going into the weights area when slightly bigger lads are there, and you're also sporting the voice of Joe Pasquale. Like you can tell, I'm not got the deepest voice in the world. So can I use that bar, please? It's
how many sets have you got left?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you. So it wasn't exactly the best start for myself when I first went to the gym, but then I found a good PT, and who basically broke a bit of the stereotypes of what I thought PTs were, which were basically guys called Brad that slept with your girlfriend, and
I hope personal experience there.
I've worked with quite a few of them as well.
Brad.
Yeah, they weren't all called Brad, but I won't say names to protect the innocent and the guilty. But my first PT was actually female, and her name was Sian Ripley, and you could see I was terrified. So instead of trying to basically sell me PT, she went, "Do you want me just to show you how some of this equipment works?" Showed me the gym, and then kind of let me go on with it. And then over the couple of days, kind of kept coming, seeing how I was, and then obviously I realised that I wasn't, going to be, the piss taken out by her. So I took her on as a PT because, again, she didn't push anything. She didn't also then try to tell me what to do. She asked me what I wanted to do. So I kind of took her as my guide for when I did finally become a PT as of how to do things. Because I think there's a lot of bad PTs in our industry, and I think having a personal trainer has an understanding of the difficulty of the gym kind of helps. Which is kind of why because I have a system called it's like an academy and a seminar that I do called Light the Way, Train Through the Darkness, which is basically all about getting people to be confident enough to get in a gym environment. Because a lot of the time, that getting there is the hardest bit.
Yeah, so, like you said, similar to yourself before you started, obviously going to the gym. That is a thing that does play in your mind in terms of like, I don't really know what to do. Because I think like we've all kind of like, I did anyway, when I turned like, I think it was 13 and then you were allowed to start using the gym. I signed up straight away and you'd go in and you'd like smash everything in there. And obviously you're not actually doing anything in the right order and you're just doing weights and then going on the treadmill and then doing other stuff. Do you know what I mean? And then you try and get into it. But I think unless like you are physically interested in it, like Ryan has a keen interest in like all that kind of stuff, like he did PE in college and all that kind of stuff. Whereas myself, I've never really have. I've just kind of been into like my cardio and like running and all that kind of stuff. But it's actually something that I've been saying that I want to get into myself. But similar to like what you said, kind of, it's intimidating going to the gym and not knowing what the fuck you're doing. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like it'd be interesting to obviously hear more about that kind of this and like how you do approach that kind of.
I think the first thing the way I try to approach it is it's a 12-week program and there's 4 videos that I kind of do a week. The first one is I go through a little bit of basic science of food, because a lot of the time, when you go in the gym and stuff, people get frustrated because they don't get the results they want, and it's not because they're not smashing the weights or they're not doing the things in the gym. It's then the fact they're not fueling their body to get the results they need. So a little bit of basic nutrition and knowledge about macros and things like that to kind of, so they've got that little bit of an introduction. It's then about the body itself and in terms of what things they need to do to kind of help the body, like sleep, water, and kind of what kind of things they need to be focusing on for whatever their goal is. So because the reality is if you want to lose weight as against to gain muscle, those two things are quite different to each other. So giving them the basis of understanding of body physiology, nutrition, so kind of building the foundations first. Then the third video for that week is I call it from surviving to thriving in the gym environment, and it's then coping mechanisms to kind of deal with the environment, such as noise cancelling headphones. So someone with ADHD, noise and light sensitivity, anything that can distract will cause them to be overwhelmed. So there's a way in which they can kind of block out the world, create their own playlist and kind of put themselves in that kind of bubble where they feel safer. There's another one talking about the Brads and there's one called "What People Really Think About You in the Gym," which is basically, the short answer is I don't give a shit. But going through all the stereotypes, like the Brads, the Barbies, and saying don't worry, because though they're called Brad now, when they originally were either a skinny guy called Bradley or a slightly overweight or skinny girl called Barbara. So it's not a problem. And then talking about the what I would like to refer to as myself probably about 5 years ago, the angry Viking covered in chalk. The powerlifters and the strength trainers look like the most terrifying people in the world, but normally actually probably the friendliest, because they're the most probably autistic or because they're as long as you don't interrupt their regime, they'll happily tell you about their favourite subject, which is powerlifting, for hours and hours and hours. If you want to know about technique, yes, I can give you 47 different types of movements to do that. Right, they might be dull, actually, if I'm honest, in most cases, but they're not scary. They're just really angry kind of people that don't like their sets being interrupted. So as long as they don't interrupt their sets, they're fine. So it's finding ways with which people can realise that the gym's not scary. It's just confusing. And once you kind of move away from those confusing situations and realise these are the answers to those confusing situations, it's fine. And then the final day that week is then a basic exercise plan. So we try to start it from like 0, and then by the end of the 12 weeks, you work into a point where you could probably be confident enough to then go into the gym. And that's when the intermediate program starts, but I won't go into all that. It's a way which you can slowly progress yourself if you're not confident enough to go to the gym, to get to a gym feeling like you're not an outsider, basically.
That's really good. Definitely. Is it your own gym then, or? Because I thought you was a PT, but obviously you've got your own branding on your top. So
yeah, I run my own company. I don't have my own gyms, but I project manage gyms for a residential company called Rise Homes. So the gyms, I manage the gyms in those facilities and employ PTs to run that. So obviously, I've got my own branding because technically I am allowed to have my own branding because I don't own my own facilities, but I run them. So that's kind of, there's a lot of facets to my business. I could, depending on how far you want to go with it, I could kind of go through what I do. But the main principle is run facilities for a company, technically employ PTs on a rental basis, and run basically programs for people dealing with mental health issues for getting them into the gym environment.
The PTs that you sort of have working with you have to sort of fit your ethos of like what programming they're going to prescribe and their message that they want to get across to people. Do they have to sort of fit the mould? They can't just be a PT. They've got
we tend to want to try and get PTs that have a similar sort of viewpoint. Obviously, I don't want a cookie cutter thing. So people, have their own way of kind of doing it. But I don't want PTs without empathy. So PTs that are good with dealing with the general populace. They have Chung in Wolverhampton gym. I worked with him previously. He's very good at classes and things like that, because that's how he, how he's kind of shows his kind of flair. But again, also very good with dealing with general populace, dealing with people that aren't great in gym environments. And then Callum in Sheffield, who basically, again, worked in a gym with me in Sheffield a long time ago, and has kind of developed his personal training around injury prevention. So he used to be ex-rugby player, so he kind of he's more in terms of dealing with injury and getting people back to health. So again, a kind of psychological aspect to it as well, in terms of dealing with a problem and then working away through from a backwards move development to a forward development. So we try to, like I said, obviously everyone's it's difficult to get everyone singing from the same hymn sheet, but we try to get people that have a similar sort of ethos basically in the gyms.
Can I get your thoughts, Adam, on the rise of like people filming themselves in the gym doing shit, and then like when someone walks across it, they're like going nuts at the person, and it's like it's a fucking public area. Like, if I need to walk past it to get something, I'm well in my rights to do so. And I don't know, I bet you've seen as well, people are going nuts about it, and there must be more tripods and machines in gyms these days.
Yeah, well, I come from a powerlifting background. Like, there was every movement we did was filmed, but most of the time the plan was as well to try and walk in front of someone as someone's sat and do something massively inappropriate just to kind of ruin their video, because it wasn't for Instagram, it was for technique. That's the thing. I don't mind people filming for a purpose, but if it's for marketing purposes, that's fine. But like you said, you're in a public area where basically people are going to walk around. If you want to do content, you hire a gym out and do, or like you said, those videos you said you found quite funny. I basically went, right, cool, I've got to close the gym down for a day to film them. Like, you want content and you don't want people disturbing you, and don't do it in a gym.
It's mainly
hire
just
someone else.
Women in like yoga pants, like proper revealing, like squatting or whatever, and then someone will walk past and have a little glance and they'll go, "Oh my god, I'm totally getting checked out." And it's like, well, you've wore those pants for a reason, hon.
Yeah, like I said, look, having worked in gyms, there are a lot of pervy guys anyway, but those guys, they're not particularly worried about a woman seeing them staring at them. So if you kind of going and taking a quick glance and a camera, it's now getting to a point where people are scared to look up. So yeah, I don't want to kind of drag myself into a too much of a discussion of this, just in case my fiance is listening. She goes, well, those women have right to be there and to exercise. Well, I know,
absolutely.
So I'll plead the fifth on that one to a certain degree. But yeah, but if you're gonna film for content, just film for content in a private area, or there's the benefit of myself is I've got my own gym, so I just go put a note on the door and filming for an hour, and then I don't get disturbed. And plus, no one wants to see me squat anyway. So,
what point was it when obviously, like you said, I think you said it was about 10, 15 years ago when you started actually going to the gym and you're a PT. But what point was it when you was like, I want to be a PT myself now? Because that must have been...
I'm trying to think, actually, because someone asked me that a while ago, and I don't really know. I think it was kind of almost over time. Like, I started training when I was about 28. I started really late. Like, I'd done a lot of sports. I was quite fit. I did like martial arts and stuff like that, but I was quite lean, but I had no muscle whatsoever. So I thought, well, I needed to kind of, I needed a confidence boost. To without kind of explaining how I became a PT, I'll kind of go a little bit more about personal life. So that's okay to share. Yeah. So, I was in a quite probably abusive relationship. It wasn't physical, but she quite mentally abusive. So at the age of 28, I kind of realised I had very little control left. So one of the only things I had control of was altering my appearance. So that's when I started going to the gym, and I think it was almost like she didn't quite realise I had that little bit of power left. So I was training probably up until about 30, 32. I started to get decent size. I was feeling a bit more confident, and then I found a powerlifting gym, and got more involved in terms of the technical side of lifting. So learning, with your regular gym rat stuff, bench press and so on, like you said, you can throw weights about and get a certain amount of results without particularly having to try hard. But with powerlifting, it was very much involved in technique.
Yeah.
So I then, typical ADHD hyper focus, I then learned absolutely everything about powerlifting to an inch of its life, and got all the equipment, hyper focused on it, and then started competing. I didn't particularly do much competing. I got qualification for British finals, but I wasn't. I knew basically if I went to British finals, I'd be the last person within the British finals. So I kind of thought I'm not going to depress myself and just go somewhere just to lose. So I kept just recreational competitions, club competitions.
Yeah.
But then I gaining confidence with that. I kind of then realised that I was in a job I hated. I was in retail management. I did it because I had to earn money, and to give to someone who then spent it. And slowly and surely, I got this idea. Well, this is a way out. So I retrained as a PT. I think about 34. I think. Yeah, it's 33, 32, 33 actually. Because I think it's about 10 years since I've been in the industry. And then started a job as personal trainer in a company that doesn't exist anymore called Sweat Gyms. There used to be one in Denton in Manchester and one in. But that's another story for another time. And then because of that, how I started gaining confidence because people were talking to me. I'm quite a sociable chap, but I was told that no one would want to speak to me. Because of that, then I managed to get enough confidence to leave. And it's kind of the personal training and personal side of my life kind of. I think that's why I'm so passionate about it, because it was kind of my way of getting away from my previous life. So it's kind of what saved me a little bit. So because of those years being a little bit blurred, the exact point, the exact time, I don't know, but I know that was the catalyst that got me away. And then, and I'm now 10 years into the industry with a brand new partner and a lot happier.
That's really happy for you.
That's meant.
I can relate on obviously some levels because my old relationship was semi abusive, like you just said, in terms of emotional control, even a bit of physical and stuff like that. And like you said, there is no better feeling, like you said, when you do exit that. And then you get kind of control back where you can just do whatever the fuck you want and you don't have to second guess everything for this other individual who seems to want to control everything. And like you said, I was the same when I got with my new partner. I just felt head over heels for her, and I ended up proposing to her within a year of being with her or something because I just thought, fuck me, this is heaven. This not having some fucking knobhead fucking be a dick to me all the time. So
you just got me for that now.
It's a different sort of being a dick, though.
It's true.
Yeah. No, of course.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think. It was a pivotal point in my life, and because I didn't exactly have a great home life when I was a. To be fair, that's not fair. I had a good home life. I had similar sort of tough love upbringing, which then led me to, that person then going, someone being abusive to you was just normality. So it's taken a long time for me, to realise that, my fiance saying nice things to me isn't weird.
Yeah.
and doing things like buying presents for me and saying that I look nice and stuff. It's like, it shouldn't be alien, but it was to me. I was like, this, why are you being weird? Like,
did part of you not believe her at first when she was?
Yeah, I struggle even now.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason I do believe is she's been around for about 5-6 years now, so there's less likelihood she'll run away. But still at some point I'm thinking, at some point she'll get fed up of me, because I'm not easy to live with. As you know, so living with someone with ADHD is very exciting, but and not dull, but a little complicated. So
that's like you said though. Like there's actually a certain lyric in a song that makes me smile every time I hear it, and he's a singer called Loyal Kana, and he's got ADHD, and he says in one of his songs, the ADHD is the best and worst thing about me. And I like connect with it in terms, like you said, because like I live with a lot of fucking ADHD people or whatever, but also, like you said, there's the frustrating side of it. There's also like the amazing sides of it in terms of, like you said, no days ever dull. Like my partner, like she does shit all the time that I'm like, I don't know, like I just think like, how did you even think of that, or where did you do that from, or do you know what I mean? I love it. I love it more than anything, and I'd never change anything about her in that sense. It just keeps everything exciting and fresh all the time, and it's I love it.
We're definitely interesting. But most creative people have some sort of neurodivergency. It's Locano as well. I don't know much about him. I know one of the things that he talks about is the thing that helps him with his ADHD is cooking. So I know he has like a cookery school for the kids with ADHD as well, and I can relate to that. Like, before PT, I'd already started to try and create a meal prep company as well. So I kind of, at one point I was running two. I was running meal prep company and PT, and I was like doing like 90 hours a week, like typical ADHD burnout kind of thing. So I after like nearly a year of going, I think this might kill me, decided to which one's making the most money, right? PT, right? We're gonna have to knock their meal prep on the heads, and but cooking was always is something that helps relax me as well. I think with people with ADHD, finding something that basically makes the noise quieter is key. And cooking, I because it's not heavy concentration, it's enough concentration to kind of keep you occupied, where the brain gets shut down a little bit, but not so much you have to concentrate and then get yourself frustrated. Like I said, everything with ADHD is trying to find that balancing on a knife edge point, so everything, the perfect happy medium with not just enough concentration or just enough concentration, just enough focus, and then you can keep going. But it's tough. But
that thing just come back to me actually. Remember right at the start of the recording when I said so I had something that I was about to say, but I forgot what it was. It came back to me. Then it was because we was talking about ADHD earlier on, and it's like you said. I think you said it about yourself earlier on, but that it had never really been a problem until you got older, and you feel like then it's that, and that's what my partner's going through right now. Like we're both 29 years old, and we've only like really thought that she's had ADHD for like the last 2 years or so, and we don't know what it is that's manifested it in her. And we think it's because we've got kids. We feel like kids is a big thing that brings it out in you, and then also the fact that she's at university at the moment, and she thinks that's brought it out loads in her because she has to be organised. And some days she says she just feels like screaming because she can't get anything done, or she can't get up off the sofa, or she can't bring herself to open a laptop and do work. And she's like trying to, like you said, possibly going to go down the private route to kind of get it done. And then she's a bit on the fence about the meds, but I've heard it obviously from yourself just now. And then we've got some other friends who have another podcast, which was on recently, and two of them on that podcast have ADHD, and they said that one of them got diagnosed later on in life, and he said he started taking the tablets, and it changed his life in terms of like he could get so much shit done, whereas before it'd take him like all day to do like 2 simple tasks because he's getting distracted. So yeah, I think
for me, it definitely not everyone benefits from meds. I'll be honest. Like there's some people I know that have ADHD that the meds didn't do anything for them, but it does for me. Like I said, I'm on the kind of the big boy level. I'm 70 milligrams is the highest amount you can get of Alvance dexamphetamine. Plus, I take a 10 milligram top up around kind of 3 o'clock. Which, unfortunately, for people listening to this, is the meds are definitely worn off now. So I'm sorry if I'm starting to ramble now, but all the speed's gone out of my system now. But yeah, it works. It works for me. It works for most people. In terms of what she's doing in terms of uni, the kids, and everything. Yeah, it's basically it's overload. It's overwhelm. And the things she's talking about, where she basically can't get up. There's a thing called basically ADHD paralysis, which is the fact that your head is screaming at you to do something, but your body's just exhausted from just constantly having to think that you just can't get up. And I've had, and it's everyone kind of looks at it and go, "Oh, it's just being lazy." I'm like, if only you knew how much energy I'm actually using just to actually be conscious right now, you wouldn't be calling me lazy. I've had days where I just can't get out of bed because my brain's just overwhelmed with everything. But those days are less now, like I said, since I've been medicated. I still have a tendency to try and do a billion things at one time, but I can then sit back and focus and went, right, you're doing too much, and refocus, and makes it a little bit easier. But if she's trying to look after, how old are your kids?
2 and 7.
Whoa, be that, yeah. So that and trying to do uni, no wonder she's blooming overwhelmed. I mean, that.
Like when you explained it though, then like you explained it perfectly how she'd explain it too. Definitely gonna like get her to listen to this kind of section and stuff because she'll find it really interesting. But like you said, it's like the burnout and stuff, and like she says it so many times, like it'll be like the simplest thing that she needs to do, but like her brain won't let her do it, and like she said she'll be sat there for 4 hours on the chair, and she'll be like, I need to send this email, and like she won't do it. It'll be a dead simple task, but like she'll be like, I can't fucking bring myself to do it. And she says it all the time. She goes, I just don't want people to think I'm lazy when I'm not. And it's exactly how you worded it then. It's exactly how she'd worded it. And it's just crazy. And the good thing about ADHD is we learn unique ways to actually get round those kind of situations, such as in my case with emails is put the email that's been sent to me into ChatGPT and get the ChatGPT to answer it in my tone of voice. That way you don't have to actually do it. So it's fine. That's good. I was going to say a funny story actually is I'm in the process of trying to get tested for having OCD, and then putting me and my partner together. It's took a lot to make it work, like you said, because we are opposite ends. Yeah. And, like, to get quite frustrated at each other in terms of like her misplacing stuff, me being super organised, but now we kind of use it to kind of like work and make it work together. Like on a daily basis, she says, Jay, where's X, Y, and Z? Jay, where's my keys? Jay, where's this? And I know where everything is. Like I'll be like, oh, I've seen it in the bathroom before. Or I'll be like, do you know what I mean? And like we've worked together kind of now on it to like thinking like, I think before we knew all these things, she just used to think I was a control freak and I used to think she was lazy. Whereas now we're kind of like, no, we're not. Our brains are just that way.
Well weirdly, my fiance also has OCD, so we're the same but opposite way rounds. But luckily, in terms of her OCD, it's not kind of cleaning and organisation. It's because there's loads of different things with OCD, and I won't go into it. But yeah, the that, and also I think we're both we've got some autistic tendencies as well, so we both can wind each other up quite easily. Especially as the like you said, the two different neurospiciness mixture doesn't mix well, unfortunately.
It's funny though, like you just said then about being able to wind each other up. We're the same. We can get wound up with each other so easily. And I remember asking, because we had a guest on the other week. We had is it Joe, the breathwork facilitator?
Yeah, Joe.
We had a breathwork facilitator on who was amazing. And he said him and both of his partner do breath work. And I said, do you ever like get pissed off with each other where you're going to get into an argument? And then do you ever like just stop and both kind of be like and start breathing? I went, because if I did that to my partner, I went, she'd probably fucking throw a shoe at me or something. She'd be fuming. But he was like, no, we don't get annoyed at each other. Like, all right, fuck me. I wish.
They're lying. They're definitely lying. Like, it doesn't mean like neurospicy kind of combinations might make it a bit more fractured, but everyone falls out at each other. He didn't want to say that in front of her. That's all it was, really. Yeah. he didn't want to get himself in trouble. That's what it was. And in terms of breath work, I've tried to do breath work myself, but again, with ADHD, trying to get right. All I want you to do is think of the breath. No. I can barely reduce the things I'm thinking about to about 10. So they're thinking about one, not a bloody chance.
I was going to say, I've suggested meditation to my partner before, and she just laughed at me and went, "No."
Not going to happen. There we go.
Why don't you meditate and then do like just 3 things as well as that, so there's not 4 instead of 10?
Technically, that's technically is ADHD and meditation. Is only thinking about 3 things at one time. That's the closest we're going to get, I reckon.
Like meditate, make some scrambled eggs, paint 1 fingernail, and sing.
But it's never a sing either. It's sing 1 line of a song repeatedly, continuously on a loop. Because it's never the whole song either. It's just 1 bit of the song that's got stuck in our heads that we just repeat back over and over again. I can completely understand why my missus gets annoyed with me now. She's just saying things back. And, yeah, that's pretty annoying. There we go. Yeah. So there's no neurospiciness in your relationships, then, because I feel like I've over-egged the ADHD. I feel I've left you out.
Ryan,
the loop of the conversation.
So Ryan's got a spicy household as well, hasn't he?
So there you go.
Yeah, well, my son's autistic, like non-verbal autism, and he's a fucking handful, man. He's just going through a phase at the minute of just like destroying shit. I call him Galactus at the minute. He's just a wrecking ball, and he finds it hilarious. And then when I sort of like try and be firm, and I'm like, "Will you please stop doing that?" It's just like, because he does it again. So
because he's just going, well, I'm just testing the boundary. I'm just testing the boundaries. I don't know what the boundaries are. I'm just learning them.
Yeah, like he'll sort of side eye me, like when the kids do that, knowing that it's wrong, and I'll be like, "Don't do it," and he'll continue walking away whilst looking at me to go and do the destruction. And I was like, "So you're not meant to doing it, but you're gonna do it anyway." So you just have to learn to just be like, "Oh fuck it," like just like it's not worth trying to discipline him because it doesn't understand that what he's doing is wrong.
Yeah, there's I can never remember his name. He's a Liverpool comedian that has 2 autistic kids Smith as well. Yeah, Paul. That's it. Yeah. And he's talking about the trying to say, no, you've had enough biscuits. Yeah. Having the meltdown, and basically they go, all right, if I have the biscuits, it's a lot easier. Yeah,
they'd be the best like hostage negotiators ever. Because they just tap until they give in to their demands.
Yeah. They're not, basically the hostage. The the people holding him hostage will be carrying him out. It's like, please, just I'm sorry. I'll just put the handcuffs on me. I can't deal with this anymore.
Yeah, have I just come up with $1 billion idea?
Yeah, employ ADHD children to be hostage negotiators.
Yeah, go in there and get the information by any means necessary.
Yeah, that's true. As long as they can, bypass child labour laws and stuff, I reckon it'd be.
Yeah, so it's AK-47 and only 4 custard creams. Go in there, eat all 4 of them, and then do your thing.
and here's some Skittles, just if that's not enough, there's your emergency Skittles, just to make sure that's enough.
I need to write this down.
Yeah. And then basically midpoint, if they really want to go bad cop, just take away the tablet or any form of kind of phone or anything away from them, just to get the full meltdown rage. So, I think we've got. If you want to copyright that as well, I've got some friends who do to kind of can TM that for you. Make sure that you no one steals that idea from this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
I don't want to lose your intellectual property for that.
I was just going to say as well, Adam. Sorry to just move the topic slightly. I noticed on your Instagram that you've been on Mel's Men Against Mountain, the movie.
Yeah.
No way.
We're good friends with Mel. Mel's been on our pod and we've been on her lives as well. So how did that kind of come about?
Well, I think it's. I think if you're talking to people about mental health, everyone seems to know everyone else that talks about kind of stuff like that. So, it's a small community. I can't remember how I got introduced to Mel. I think it might have been Dan from PT4U that kind of introduced you. But it also might be the Beard podcast. There's he's another guy that struggles with ADHD, and I think he might. One of those two might have introduced me. Surprisingly, I have problems with my short-term memory, so I can't quite remember how I got introduced to her. She's a lovely lady, and she's it's nice having a female advocating for men's mental health. If I'm honest, it's not usual. If I'm honest, we're normally left to blow our own trumpets a little bit in that world.
100%. I was going to say when we had our podcast with Mel, when Mel came on with us, like she said so much stuff, didn't she? That we was just like, fuck me, like it's mad hearing it from the other side, like, and she just got it. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. She just got it, and she was saying about obviously like when men go quiet and stuff like that. Like most women will be like, "Oh, like why are you being so quiet?" or da 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 da. Whereas Mel was like, "That's when you kind of need to have the back more." And it could be thinking about anything. It could be anything from like financial stress, or like where men have been conditioned to feel like they have to be the fucking the man of the house and providers and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Or it could even be anything. You might be stressing about the fact that you feel like you're not sexually pleasing your partner. Do you know what I mean? It could be anything, and like you just don't feel comfortable to say it or whatever. But like, and then some women will get on your back about it and be like, "Oh, da 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 da." But Mel just got it, and she did actually say, didn't she? Like, I wish, like, she wishes that she knew what she knew now, like 10 years ago, because she felt like she could have saved her marriage
when she was in her own relationship. Yeah.
I think a lot of time. Well, I think everyone has the what ifs kind of scenario. I think thinking of that aspect as well is I train a lot of clients that have similar conditions to myself, because everyone kind of attracts their own tribe, and I think I try and disguise the ADHD and disguise all the other thing, but it seeps out of me. So people kind of feel comfortable kind of PTing with myself because of that. And I had a client who was talking about his work and the fact that they had a men's mental health discussion on like a Teams meeting, and it just devolved into women telling him what was wrong, what he needed to do about his mental health. And he's like, well, do you not want to listen to anything that I've got to say about it, seeing as I'm a man that deals with mental health? And that was it's the I'm more than happy to have allies and stuff like that. But if those allies then don't listen to the things that are being said, it's pointless having allies, in my viewpoint. And I think that's where Mel, I think, like you said, does well. Instead of telling us what we need to do for our mental health, is listening to why we don't do things with our mental health.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of male friends for that reason, because a lot of times, being a guy who was quite open about his mental health, you just get used against it. So you get used as basically ammunition to kind of either take the piss, for bants, or it was then used against you. So if you were eyeing up the same female, it was like, it was used then as a way in which they can lose your opportunity with that female by saying, well, he's mental. so you want to go with him. So you learn to keep your cards close to your chest a lot of times, and I'm kind of glad I don't. But because of that, I'm fully aware that that's why I don't have a lot of male friends, because I don't. I don't care about my letting people know about what I'm thinking. So because of that, I know that I've kind of blacklisted myself in a lot of cases, unless I find a couple of my friends that I have that are like myself. But it's difficult. You're left in a very vulnerable position if you do talk about your mental health and things that you actually probably really should talk about, because you don't talk about those things.
Yeah, no, definitely. I do feel like it is slowly becoming more and more of a it's getting better. Like you said, in terms of being able to open up. I was going to say, I just wanted to ask one more thing, sorry, before we do come to a close, unless there's something else that you are asking.
No, we're coming to the hour mark, and I'm cautious of young Adam needing to go and do 10 other things after this.
I thought he was going to say go and top himself up on his
on his speed.
I've already used them all now. I can't do any more. I won't go to sleep.
I was going to ask, you mentioned before about the Beard podcast, and I was obviously looking through your Instagram, and although you have got a nice long beard at the moment, it has been longer than that at times, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So do you do any like beard care, or would you just blessed with a fucking Viking beard? Because I would love to have a beard like that.
I think I've got a certain amount of genetics, because I was born in this country, but my relatives are from. This is where I have to be careful. My relatives are from Germany, but it's like like about 8 generations ago. So I've got a little bit of maybe that in the kind of slight North blood in me. Hence the reason the beard is a little bit easier for me to grow, and hence the reason I kind of play on that and try to look like a cut price Thor.
Thor, if you ordered him from Wish.
Wish Thor. There you go. Without the hammer as well. Nice. Let's get a little toffee hammer or something instead. But beard is reasonably easy for me. So I think through genetic. In terms of beard care, I should look after it more, but that would involve me remembering to put the beard oil on. And so I do look after it when I can remember. But most of the time, this is just just pure dumb luck managing to have half a decent looking beard. But I can assure you it would look a lot better if I actually put some beard oil in it. But the one if I'm honest, the one that before I used to have a massive curly mustache instead, so I used to twirl it. Yeah, so that was the really kind of slightly offensive facial hair that I had.
I was going to ask, because in that on your like kind of logo, and you got like old school.
Yeah, well, that's kind of that's where the logo originally started. When I first started PTing, like that's what I looked like. I had a pompadour over there, so I looked like I don't know, a 1930s strongman with curly moustache, a pompadour, and because I competed in powerlifting, I did have like a basically a singlet, which is basically a leotard that you used to have to compete in, because obviously because it was so you couldn't hide metal plates and stuff to kind of cheat, so you had to wear in essence basically a women's swimming costume with slightly longer legs to do your squats and your deadlifting. So it was a strong look. I probably wouldn't go for it now, but
I'm going to try and find it on your Instagram in a minute. I'm just scrolling down then trying to find it. I've seen that one.
Oh yeah,
look on that.
That's when I was lean. And that was I think I did that for my 39th birthday. I think I decided I was going to get kind of reasonably stage ready. I think I didn't quite get stage ready because I've trained in gyms and that basically where there was physique competitors and stuff. So I knew what I needed to do, but they informed me quite categorically that I was still about 3 weeks away from the stage and called me fat. So this is kind of like
you got called fat on that.
Yeah,
thing.
Well, this is the thing when you work with Brads occasionally they don't care about your feelings. I know I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't completely stage ready, but there's the very I've done lots of different stages of my fitness journey. I've been a fat potato powerlifter. I've been semi decent shape gym rat. I've been shredded, where I looked a little bit like a skeleton that someone had sprayed skin on. Covered in bisto, wearing some tight shorts that barely covered my modesty. And now I'm in my looking half decent, but concentrating on my business look. So there was the real I saw is it looked like a lift, but also like cake. That's kind of what I'm going for.
That's a good vibe to have.
It is.
Yeah. Well, Adam, thank you very much, mate.
That's all right, guys. Thank you for having me on.
And wish you all the best going forward with your ADHD and managing shit.
Yeah. I'll if it's okay with you guys, if I pass you on the links for the Light the Way Academy, and so I've got the Light the Way seminar. So if you want to pass that on to your listeners as well. So if they're struggling with that.
Yeah, if there's anything you want us to like put on our page or anything like that, just message us and we'll always like share anything like that.
Happy days. Well, thanks for your time, guys.
You too, Adam.
Thank you very much for your
all the
time.
best. Thanks very much for coming on.
See you later.
All right, thank you.
Have a good. Bye.
Bye.